Thank you, Seth. And can everyone hear me all right? Good? All right, thank you. As he said, my chat is How is ChatOps Formed? And I'm Carol. I also help organize Steel City Ruby, so if you like conferences in Pittsburgh and you like Ruby, I would like to invite you to Steel City Ruby, August 15th and 16th. I know that made Justin very happy just now. So ChatOps is chat plus ops. So this talk assumes that you have a chat system at your place of work where you're collaborating in a chat room with your coworkers. This could be IRC, HipChat, Slack. I guess this is a new hot thing. And I'm assuming you have some ops that you like to do or have to do for your job, keeping your site up, deploying, continuous integration, things like that. And we want to put them together. So I'm going to be going through why you might want to put them together. I've got 3 reasons for that. How you might go about doing that. And I have 3 tangents that I couldn't resist throwing in the talk. So I work at Think Through Learning, Think Through Math. We have a Rails app that does remedial math tutoring for kids. And we use HipChat for our chat service. It's hosted chat as a service. We run a Hubot, which is a chatbot that Github open sourced that is a Node app. We use GitHub for our source control. We use Jenkins a lot for our continuous integration and doing a lot of automated things. And I want to take this opportunity to recognize Jeff Koenig. Jeff, where are you? Jeff's right there. This is Jeff. He's my coworker who does a lot of our Jenkins scripting and integration. And we use New Relic for our monitoring and performance. There are a bunch of other services that I could consider part of ChatOps. This is just the set that we chose to use, so I'm going to be talking about this a lot. But the ideas in this talk should be generalizable to many different tools and situations. I mentioned Hubot, and so a chatbot, telling a chatbot what to do is part of ChatOps. Having a chatbot run services for you is part of it. The other part is services posting to your chat room. Like New Relic can post when your site is down. You can say, hey, the site's down, which doesn't, so you don't need to have a chatbot to do ChatOps, but it helps, as you'll see. So we didn't start out wanting to do ChatOps. My CTO wanted us to have a Hubot so that he could conify things. So this is a Hubot plugin where you say conify DevOps, and it repeats the last vowel in the word and posts it on a meme image of Captain Kirk screaming and posts back to your chat room. First tangent, my proudest open source commit is to the hubot-scripts repo, where people have contributed a bunch of scripts you can plug into your Hubot. And my contribution was after the newest Star Trek movie came out, so that about 50% of the time, you got Spock instead of Kirk. Very proud of that. So our Hubot is named MathBot, and once we had that set up, we realized we could use it to do things like deploying our applications, or we could tell it to build a Jenkins run of our tests, or we could ask it for the current status of the site. So these are some of the examples of things we're doing with our chatbot. So why are we doing this, and why might you want to do it? One thing I really love about this is that it gives you one place for all of your information to know what's going on, because you're going to be in your chat room talking to your coworkers anyway. So it's really nice to have the status of your site, to see who's been deploying, to see what might be affecting things, all in one place. And you might think, oh, well, that's a dashboard, right? But the chat log I see is more of a stream of things rather than a snapshot of the current state. I've also found the chat logs with the interactions with Hubot and other services to be really useful when doing post-incident analyses, because you can see, that's when we figured out that it was the deploy we did last night that caused this problem. And that's when we started seeing this symptom, and we were talking about how to figure that out. So it's really neat to see how we handled incidents in our chat room with the interactions of our tools. HipChat, in particular, has a mobile app, which lets us do fun things like almost deploying from a bus. Because we can, in the app on your phone, you can just tell Mathbot to go deploy. So that's really neat. It's also great for remote workers. It's a lot easier for them to help collaborate if you're doing it in your chat room rather than in person or around a dashboard or things like that. The next reason why you might want to do this is to give everyone the power of DevOps. I'm kind of a hippie. I don't like management. I don't like red tape. I don't like gatekeepers. So I want everyone to be able to deploy the site if something's ready to go out or needs to go out. I want everyone to be able to see what's going on with the current status of the site. Second tangent is that this graphic and this slogan is from a book called Computer Lib, written by Ted Nelson in 1974. Ted Nelson is the guy who invented the words hypertext and hypermedia. And I didn't know about this until I started looking for graphics for this slide. But this book is about how everyone needs to understand how computers work. And computer people should stop talking about computers as if they're a mystical thing that is hard to understand. And it really resonated with me and then made me sad that this is still really relevant 40 years later, that computers are still mystical things to many people. But anyway, for those of you who are very security-minded and do like some process in there or have regulations that require you to have more checks and balances, it's certainly possible to add into HipChat, into your hubot-scripts, things like only certain people are allowed to deploy. Or a couple of people have talked after seeing run through of this talk is you could have a two-person deploy where one person says, okay, deploy, and it doesn't actually do anything until another person says, all right, yeah, I approve this deploy too. So, and for those of you who are completely horrified that the company I work for is running our deploys through, external services, let me just remind you that not that way. Everything's broken. So don't worry about it, it's fine. The third reason you might want to do ChatOps is it's fun. The command line is scary to a lot of people. My friend Jenny calls it the black screen of death. Even developers, the terminal is the scary place where you could accidentally SSH into production and drop the database because you forgot that's where you were. It's where you can tab complete the wrong thing and deploy the wrong branch to production. It's scary. So in our deployment scripts, we have it set up so that if you tell Mathbot to deploy to production, it's only going to deploy what's on GitHub's master branch, and that has already been through our Jenkins builds and is passing. So you can build in things to make it easier and not as scary. And everyone knows how to chat. You don't need to have a whole wiki page explaining how to chat. And you don't have to have your local system set up with all sorts of different SSH keys and software, and you just go in the chat room. So it's a lot more fun. So how should you go about doing ChatOps? Basically, it's just software at the end of the day. You get out your ball of twine, you hook up a whole bunch of APIs all to each other, and you have ChatOps. As I mentioned, Hubot is a ecosystem that is flourishing with lots of different plugins that people have contributed that you can just plug in and turn on and off. And it's really easy to write your own. But remembering that it's just software, you also need to do things like QA. Here is a plugin that we wrote to ask for the next Steelers game, and this is what happens in the off season. And it keeps going. So you do need to have a little QA in there. Documentation is also an important thing. And this is cutting off a little bit, unfortunately. This is Bill. Yeah. So this is Bill trying to use a command. It doesn't do anything. He asks for help on that command. It's the wrong command. He asks for help on a slightly different command. That's the right command. It gives him the arguments and what it does, and then he's able to use it. And he's a little embarrassed about it, but I think this is great because this is a way of learning that it's not. Everyone else in the chat room can see this going on. And other people might not have known this command even existed. So other people didn't have to go out and find this command and read about it. It's just there. And in the future, when they want to use it, you can say, oh, hey, I saw Bill use that the other day. I can look back in the chat log and see how he used it. So it's a collaborative method of being exposed to things that is more ad hoc and less structured way of learning that I really like, that spreads knowledge throughout the team. The second way to go about doing ChatOps is to listen to your users, who are your coworkers. The first thing you should do is start with one command that will give you value, that will take care of the one task that you have to do over and over again, that provides the highest value for your ChatOps setup. And then it's going to get addictive. Your coworkers are going to say, oh, hey, wouldn't it be cool if the bot could do this? And a lot of my coworkers, their first open source commit was to our bot setup because it was fun to make the bot do something and then immediately be able to use it and have your coworkers use it. It's a lot of fun to keep adding to useful things. I love this. This is Andre. This is not anything responding to a trigger. This is just Jenkins posting back to the chat room that the deploy finished right when Andre asked about it. I love this because this is a question that we commonly have. So a good source of features to add to the bot is questions that get repeatedly asked. And you can think, how could the bot answer this question so that we always have the answer right when we need it? There are things, I mentioned the Hubot plugins. There are also things that might be specific to your company, your custom ops setup. Part of our application is a chat where students who get stuck can hop on with a teacher to get help on the math problem that they're stuck on. And they work till midnight Eastern time most nights. So we don't want to do a deploy until they're offline, and sometimes they run it past midnight if they're in the middle of a session. So we made a custom command to ask how many teachers are still in the system. So we made an API route in our chat system to return how many teachers are still signed in. So this is a way you can customize the bot to your particular setup. And the third thing to keep in mind when you're doing ChatOps is to make sure you're maintaining a high signal-to-noise ratio. There are 3 different things that might cause noise in your chat room due to your ChatOps setup. One of them is just that the setup itself is, say, putting in 3 notifications in the chat room when you really only need 1. So that's monitoring what you've set up, how you have things configured, to make sure your bot isn't being overly chatty. The second thing is actually a process smell. So we have some tests that are kind of flaky. They intermittently fail, and if you run them again, they pass. So we were getting a lot of failure notifications for a lot of different branches in our chat room. And sometimes our release candidate branch that we wanted to keep pristine and ready to be deployed all the time, that would fail for a legitimate reason, but no one would do anything about it because it just got lost in all the other failure messages. And eventually, we ended up adding a trigger on the bot so that when it saw our release candidate branch fail, it would post a animated GIF of the minions from Despicable Me going be-doo, be-doo, so that you would see it and pay extra attention to that because that was an important failure. But that's actually a stopgap. This is a process smell that we're working on to fix because our tests are flaky, and that's what we should really be fixing. So the ChatOps setup exposed a process flaw and a flaw in our operations that we need to work on. The third thing that can cause extra noise is the fun parts of Hubot, like the conify. We recently had to put a ban on anything that matches a regex in a normal conversation that would trigger an image, and especially large animated GIFs. We had way too many things turned on, and there would just be GIFs all the time. So the fun parts of Hubot can get in the way too. So you need to watch out for that. I would like to thank again Jeff, who without this talk would not be possible. All the other TTM devs who are here and watching on the live stream. I have some image credits here. You may be thinking that I forgot my third tangent. I did not. This is my cat. Her name is Frances. Everyone calls her baby, like in Dirty Dancing. And she's, I don't know if you can see, but she's sleeping with her tongue out. It's so cute. It's my cat. I'm a Rubyist. Rubyist put cats in their slide. I'm on Twitter at Carol's 10 cents. My slides are online for what that's worth. Some of our plugins and customizations are up on GitHub. We've recently taken some closed source because they're not interesting and really specific to our setup, but we're going to be open sourcing some that aren't soon. And I'm happy to talk more about ChatOps in the open spaces. Thank you.